Luthez faithfully defended his World Heavyweight Championship.
Kowalski's got him right where he wants him.
Dory Funk Jr. wanting that World Heavyweight Championship.
10 pounds of pure gold.
Simon Felder's Dusty Rhodes has just become the World Heavyweight Wrestling Champion.
Presenting the greatest organization in wrestling history.
We always deliver on our promises at the National Wrestling Alliance.
Pretty hard, and look at what he's gonna work now. Oh!
Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of NWA, the Dynasty. We are ready for our first pay-per-view, NWA Crossroads. So I'm pretty excited about the first pay-per-view. There's some things where we're not quite sure yet on how many pay-per-views we're going to run. I'm a little concerned about finances, so we're going to keep a close eye on whether it's viable. Right now, I think we only have 4 pay-per-views on the card. We have Hard Times Anniversary Show to Crockett Cup and this. So that seems a little light for me. I've been kind of contemplating whether we want to do 6 pay-per-views a year, and that's basically every other month. That gives us about 8 weeks of build in between each, which feels pretty good. Gives us a lot of wiggle room to build up some more complex stories, and kind of focus more on the TV show, right? But there's also the other area, which is that maybe it'll be more financially advantageous to get that fight TV money and get that pay-per-view revenue. I don't know. It looks like we're spending a lot on workers here. We've had now 4 shows, I want to say, and we've already spent about $10,000 a show in workers fees. In terms of show cost, about like $2,500. So we're looking at like $1,250 a show. I believe maybe a little more, maybe close to 20, because that's just the venue hire. Might be closer to like 18 a show. This says per show. I don't believe that is actually accurate here. I believe that is it adds up, to that amount. So yeah, we're probably looking at about $15,000 to $16,000 per show, with our pay-per-view, with our broadcast revenue being only about $5,000. So we're not making a lot of money. We do have sponsorship deals. I don't know how much more we're going to make this month. The sponsorships are kind of this weird nebulous data set. It kind of just populates. It doesn't feel realistic to me. I don't really know where it comes from. Quote unquote, we get good sponsorships, but we never pick them out. We don't know where they are. And somehow we've gotten $60,000 in monthly sponsorship money. I don't know if we're just selling Blue Chew ads on the pamphlets on the back of the the match cards and the promotional materials we send out, but we're getting some money somehow, as well as a little bit of merch, a little tiny bit trickling in. Our big expenses are obviously the Nightmare Factory, which is part of the agreement. Cody wanted to come in, he wanted to bring QT, he wanted to bring Nightmare Factory. So we have to absorb that cost, and that's pretty much a non-negotiable condition of him being here. So we're spending it's gonna be like $42,000 a month. That's a lot of money. That's not including all this other expenses. Now, so far we're at a performance of $34,000 a month. Now, if the sponsorship money kicks in a little bit more, maybe that'll go down. But I think we're going to lose like $45,000 a month. That's a big deal. But that's why we have the big coffers right now. If the pay-per-view money is really good, we might do a pay-per-view every month. Otherwise, it might be more beneficial to do less pay-per-views, less shows a month, focus on the TV, and build up the size and the popularity of wrestlers that way. I will say while we have not moved in size at all, and we're still at that 32, we need that 35 in order to really succeed, our wrestlers that we've been putting on have been moving up tremendously. So if you look here, I'll give you a couple examples of some of the wrestlers that we have on our already bloated roster. Don't worry. I know. You don't have to say it every I know that this is a larger roster. But, most of these guys are enhancement talent. I think we really only have a core 25 wrestlers that we're really focusing on. The rest are sort of supporting roles. So I'm fine with that. But let's look at some of the people that we've had on TV that maybe didn't give us the best performance, but we're building up already. So, Brock Anderson has now been on 3 shows so far, I think. Maybe 4. He's very pleased, by the way. He's at 21, 23 all around. His popularity when we started just a month ago was in the 10s. So he's doubled practically his popularity in 1 month just by having a match with Cody and losing. Or no, having a match with having a match with Cody and losing, having a match with Ace Austin and winning, and now having a program with Ace Austin and Brian Pillman. So that's cool. That's cool as hell that he's moving up so fast. He's already considered well known for our roster. And, that's only going to continue to move up. Jordan Oliver's been on 1 show, so I can't imagine he's done much. I think he was only in the pre-show, which will give him a boost, but only a boost, I believe, in our territory, which will probably... no, actually, he's went down in popularity. He's actually suffered. Oh, wait, no, I'm looking at it wrong. Or am I? No, I'm definitely looking at it right. He's lost popularity. So we have to be careful about these guys. Although I feel like that not necessarily is my fault. He only had 1 match, and it was in dark. So probably not involved in that. But again, that's sort of the focus is take some of these guys. Ace Austin's already considered a star here for us. But if we look at our popularity, we can take a look real quick and see if he's made any movement. None really. I think he's going to be a harder needle to move, but those smaller guys, they can move rather quickly just by putting in the work on them. And that's what we're going to focus on. I'm not so concerned about our show ranking. Our previous shows, we had a 54, which was really great. A 59 which was outstanding, I think, for us. We could have booked a higher performance, but we would have had less of those guys on it. Same thing for the first show, which was a 59. So we had three shows all above the 50s. That's great. And no matter what, we're going to be moving up in momentum. I mean, that's the one thing about this size. You move in popularity if you are, I think it's 8 or 10 points higher than your size in that region. That basically means that we're going to be moving up. We could be moving up with a show half as good as what we're doing. And that gives us some latitude to really spend some of that, to really focus on some lesser workers, and I don't mean lesser as in lesser skill, but just lesser popular. A Colby Carino, his skills based on our Fog of War here, they're average, though his technical is actually really solid. I think I could get a really good technical match out of Colby Carino, who we've not had on the show yet. But his popularity sucks. His popularity is not very good. But we could burn... So we're not going to get a great match necessarily, but we can build that popularity up and make him a pretty good... Probably up to a star for us. A Kerry Morton, who's completely unknown here and unimportant. Who's young, does not have really any skill set here. We can start to invest and develop him while also... building up his popularity. This could be an established star for us. but we just need to invest into him. Leland Race, probably less so, though his brawling skill might be really good. But he doesn't have a lot of popularity, but we build him up. He might be a good mid-carder for us. So that's sort of the goal, is that we're going to burn some of our size potential here, and we're going to try to invest that into some of our smaller talent. So that's sort of the plan right now. Now, this show coming up, which we're ready to book, is going to have all of the titles on the line. So we will, by the end of this, find out who our new world's champion is, who our women's champion is, and our alliance tag champion is. The only title that won't be on the line tonight will be the world title, which is still vacant. That we will decide, I think, on a episode of the Worldwide. The television title really is sort of our TV champion, should be a fighting championship, and that's going to be kind of how we book that. I do want to add more titles. People have been asking about titles. I forget who in the Discord suggested it, and I apologize, but I think it was a great idea of adding a 6-man championship to our individual titles. So obviously with the Alliance titles, we can't control them, but we can, with some finagling, we can kind of manage the sizes of other companies and manage it based on what the popularity of the people that are in that position are. But it could end up being that those titles get hot potatoed around sometimes. That's fine. That's the nature of the Alliance. And we have a creative challenge with booking to work around and with that. So my goal with the Alliance titles, by the way, it is not to just fix it. If I give the Von Erichs the tag titles, for example, and we have an alliance with, I don't even know who we would have an alliance with that would beat us. But maybe we'd get an alliance with MLW would be a great partner, right? And a tag team over there has higher popularity, or we get an Impact and they have a higher popularity and they take the titles. We work that into the story. We're not just going to go and borrow them and then hot potato the title back over. So that comes with some creative issues when it comes to how we book those stories out. But I also think it makes it a little bit more interesting. But the ones we can protect are our actual titles, right? So our world television, and then our 6-man, and then we'll have another one. But I like the idea of them not just being duplicates of what the Alliance has. So the idea of having here's the world women's national title or something, and it's it's the same, it's a women's title, but it's ours. I think it's a little more boring, and I would want them to have more, not necessarily gimmicks, but more of a purpose. So the idea of a 6-man, here's a title that's exclusively ours. It's not part of the Alliance, but it's not a duplicate of the tag scene, and it's showcasing different wrestlers and telling different stories. So if there's a women's belt, maybe it's a women's tag, right? Or maybe there's some interesting stipulation to that women's belt that makes it a little bit different. Or we do something like our X Factor championship that we had in our previous save that was bought from Global Force Wrestling, where the belt is always on the line, and it becomes sort of this interesting mechanic. Those are the type of mechanics that I'm going to be looking for these titles, so they're not just shadow duplicates of what we have going on in the Alliance. All right, with all of that out of the way, we have a show to book. So, Worldwide is going to be in the Southeast. We're expecting 572 fans. We have to pick a best option for the venue. It's going to be The Loft. Center Stage, The Loft. Where are you at? It's in Atlanta, Georgia. Originally known for is Atlantic Theater, 650. Now, I got some feedback previously about just using a generic venue. I as far as I could tell, there's really no difference between the two. But I'm broken and I'm weird and I play this game in a weird way. And to me, it's far more interesting to me to have to be forced to pick a venue and deal with the consequence of that. And you tell me what you guys think, because I feel like personally, the select a generic venue option, which if you don't know, well, essentially, if I look in here into the venues tab, which is here, So if we look here, we may select a generic venue if needed. This works exactly the same as a regular venue, except the capacity will automatically be worked out as the most appropriate level for the level of the audience and does not have a proper name. There's no advantage to disadvantage. I kind of hate that. And the reason why is, besides not having a name and some history associated with it, in the real world, you don't have the ability to perfectly match the venue with what you expect, right? So, like, to give you an example, like if an AEW show is running in Philadelphia, they run the Syracuse Center, which is a Temple University arena that could fit, like, I don't know what the total capacity is, probably like 7,000 people or something like that. But they may only have 4,000 people attend. That means they're still paying for those seats. They can't fill them. With the generic venue option, it just perfectly matches. It's like, well, here's a spot for 600 people because you're going to have 572. Doesn't matter that it doesn't exist anywhere. It's perfectly, capped at the level you need. I find that kind of cheap, personally. So I like the idea of rather having to select, even if it's just a small, minor thing, of, we got to select this one that we're not going to sell out. Probably we're gonna have 650, or we have to go under a little bit because there's no next best option. To me personally, I think that's a little more interesting, than just selecting the generic. So I tend to like to do that. That's why I do that. It probably doesn't matter really in the grand scheme of things, and it's probably something that hurts me in the end. But it's a type of flavor that I like, and that's why I do it. So I have gotten a few questions over the past couple of years as 2020 it's the game kind of rolled out, asking about that, and that is why I do it that way. So it might be silly, but it's the way I do it. We have no backstage incidents. We're going to be on Fight. Locker room controls, I'm going to meddle. And speaking of Kerry Morton, I want some relationship. Well, Ricky Morton, they should already have they do not. I have to fix that. They should have an existing relationship. But I want like a Cody Rhodes. Extremely high chance of failing. I want to find someone that has a high chance of succeeding. Anybody would be perfect. Maybe not Brock Anderson. I think having a relationship with them wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but I really want like a protege. Camille's probably not going to be the most helpful. Kimberly might. She's got some experience. No effect. I have to fix that because he definitely should have a relationship with his father. But, weird. All right. We got a show to book. We got 180 minutes. So it's not the... Actually, we have up to 225 minutes. So it's a 3-hour show. Should give us a lot of time to put in as much as we can. Not going to be concerned about the money right now. We're going to be concerned about building up these stars. We have a lot of storylines that are in the works right now, so let's continue some of them. Let's build them up, and let's see if we can build some of these younger stars into potential talent. All right, catch you guys on the flip. All right, everybody, we are back. We are ready for Crossroads here. Full 225 minutes, 2 pre-show matches. I could have got some more people on, but story-wise, I didn't want them here yet. So we might run into some issues of being left off the show complaints, which is fair. We'll deal with them if we get them. But overall, I'm really happy with how this pay-per-view looks on paper. Now, will this be a 70-plus rating show? Probably not, but I think it's going to do well. And more importantly, it puts over a lot of talent that I think are going to be important for our mid-card and under, so I'm really happy about that. And we move a lot of stories forward, which this is a really tight show. I'm really happy with how this came out. So, with that all said and done, let's go ahead and check out Crossroads to see who are going to be our champions and where NWA will go from here. Starting off in our pre-show for Crossroads, we have some tag team action. Kerry Morton and Leland Race, not a tag team, but just chilling together, versus the newly minted The Order and the Rock and Roll Express. Again, this is kind of to see what these guys are capable of. We don't know what for at least The Order, we don't really know what they're capable of. For Leland Race and Kerry Morton, we have a bit of an idea, but not a huge idea. So I thought it was important to put everybody together and see what we can kind of shake out of it. It's a decent match. I mean, it's not great, but it has a decent reaction. It has some subpar wrestling. And overall, I think actually it came out pretty okay compared to what the in-ring performance of everybody was, which is about mid to high 20s, which is what we kind of talked about for our undercard, kind of where we expect them to be in the good spot. So not too bad. We give Order the win as our new debuting tag team. So the Knight family gets a win, and we give it in a big way after giving it a win over Ricky Morton. So the younger guys, Kerry Morton and Leland Race, well, relatively younger. Leland Race is kind of an older chap now, right? He's like 38 or something like that. So he's not younger than the Rock and Roll Express, let's say. But we protect them a little bit and let the Rock and Roll Express take the pin here. Overall, not too bad. Everybody's got a pretty decent score here, and at least we know where they stand. Lance Archer, we give him a match because I don't have him on the show, and I figure he's going to be upset, and I don't want to upset Lance Archer. That sounds very dangerous. So it's an extremely short match, 3 minutes. We let Lance Archer just maul Casey Navarro like he's Ace Steel in a back room, and just chomps on him and spits him out, gives him a blackout, and in 3 minutes, Lance Archer beats him. He's in amazing form. He looked great out there. Of course he did. He's Lance freaking Archer. 41, can't complain about that. Lance Archer has a 67. I see important things for Lance Archer in the future. So very happy with that rating. We start the show off with Delilah Doom in an opener, work the crowd match. It's not very hot. We didn't expect very much from this, so that's fine. But it's building up to a storyline, and again, we wanted to build Delilah Doom up, so we want to make sure she has as many eyes on her as possible. We give her a win, defeating Camille. Again, Delilah's got a 27. It's not the end of the world. It's somebody we can develop, and I think we can get a pretty good mid-carder out of her if we play our cards right. Camille's established star, so it gives Delilah a bit of a boost for beating her. We advance the storyline that Delilah's involved with, and it gets a 35, and it gets to show off to a strong start. So, again, I'm not too concerned. As we talked about earlier, if I got to burn ratings, if I got to spend the rating segment to develop a younger roster member, I'm more willing to do that. I think that's going to pay off in the end. Afterwards, Camille, upset by the match, ends up attacking Delilah Doom from behind. Kylie Rae comes in again to save her. The two have a budding friendship forming. She's able to defend Camille off, but then the debut of King Coda, Dakota Kai, shows up. She was not saved to WWE in the database at the time, so fair game. I used her. She shows up, and she gets a very good reaction for her egomaniac heel gimmick. We're going with her Twitter handle or indie handle for a while. I think her indie handle for a while was Evie, and then obviously she was Dakota Kai in NXT and WWE, and she kind of was hinting at this idea of the King Coda gimmick, and I think we're going to play with that. I think there's some interesting angles we can go with her new gimmick. So she shows up, and she ends up squaring up with Kylie Ray and downing her, seemingly aligned with Camille here. Unfortunately, it doesn't do great. It's a 37, but we do gain some heat for the storyline. Dustin comes out, thanks everyone for being here at Crossroads, and announces that he's going to have a new tournament for our brand new television title. He shows off the television title, says this is an important match, or is an important tournament, important for an important title that represents sort of the best workers of the company, the people that are rising stars that never have a bad night, and show that true fighting spirit NWA is all about under him. And it is a round robin, meaning that no quick pinfall will be enough. These competitors have to really strive and show that they're truly the toughest that the NWA have to offer, so that they can face all those challenges on television. So it's going to be 10 competitors in a round robin. It's going to be a long tournament. We're not going to crown that for a bit. But that's the point of it, right? Is this going to give 10 workers something to chew on for a while and build up a bunch of people in the process. And by the end of it, someone's going to get that title. And we're going to have 2 matches tonight to start it off. He does a really good job orating this and explaining to the fans. He gets a 58. People are really excited about it. Afterwards, he explains who the people are going to be. This was supposed to have something in here, and it doesn't. Don't know why. But we have 10 competitors. I will tell you who they are. I was supposed to say who they are here, but we will go ahead and show you on the screen, and I'll tell you here. We got Chris Adonis, Homicide, Ricky Starks, Nick Aldis, Joe Axel Henning, Jacob Fatu, Colby Carino, Lance Archer, Black Taurus, and Davey Boy Smith Jr. And tonight, we have our first 2 matchups, which will be Ricky Starks facing Jacob Fatu and Colby Carino facing Davey Boy Smith Jr. So some really interesting matchups here, but we have a mix of old and new, established and not, which was sort of the point here in the tournament. So it's a nice blend of workers that we probably aren't going to have any storylines for in the immediate future. Maybe not. I could see Ricky Starks and Nick Aldis having one, or even a Lance Archer, but maybe even a Jacob Fatu. But for now, instead of just putting them in a storyline, having them in this tournament and then build maybe even some rivalries within the tournament felt like a nice natural way to get all 10 competitors kind of something to do for the next 2 months or so. So we have those 2 matches tonight. And of course, it's a round robin, which means that every person has to beat the other person. So everyone gets a chance to fight each other. So that's why it's such a long tournament. But that means that there's no simple eliminations. It's really going to have to prove that that person has the most pinfalls and most submissions and is the best of the 10, right? So it's kind of interesting. It's definitely a New Japan style, or even just a general Eastern influence in terms of booking for tournaments, but it's something that's going to be a nice change. People have been asking me to do one for a while, so I kind of came up with this tournament bracket that I thought would be interesting and hopefully would lead to some interesting stories between a few people. So that's ultimately the goal here. and it'll leave us with a television champion. And we started off with the first of our Strongbow Memorial National Television Tournament matches. Colby Corino versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. Davey Boy Smith Jr. does defeat Colby Corino in 22 minutes with a British Bulldog Bomb. Wow, why is that so hard to say? But they both do really well. Colby Corino's got a 41. Davey Boy Smith Jr. has a 49. The match itself is a 49. It was a technical match, a longer match. Ultimately, though, Davey Boy does end up the winner here. A little bit more experience as a tournament wrestler here, able to kind of defeat Colby here. But again, nobody's eliminated, so Colby can easily come back with a good showing elsewhere. After that, we go to our interview area backstage. Joe Galli stepping away from the announce booth to talk to Tim Storm Jr., ask him, what's going on with the factory? They attacked your father the last show. They offered you an opportunity. What's going through your head? And he says, that he's never going to join them, especially now. Attacked his father like that. They're trying to poke him, trying to wake the bear in him. And he goes, if you want to see my fighting spirit, do you really want to see that ruthlessness in me that you say a competitor needs? All you had to do was ask. You didn't have to do this, but now you made it personal. So I've already went to the back and I asked Dustin, and he's granted me a match tonight. QT, I'm not coming for you yet. I'm going for your biggest dog first. Because I want you to watch, and I want you to know that I'm coming for you next. So, Tim Storm Jr., a little unhinged a bit, a little mad, and he's going to go fight Nick Camarado, the big dog here, and try to show QT that he's going to tear up the factory, and he's coming for him. And unfortunately, this segment does not great. Tim Storm Jr. is not a great talker. Joe Galli, apparently, not a good microphone guy. We need to find a better backstage interviewer. We got Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson, an interesting tag up. Pillman Jr. obviously had helped out Brock Anderson recently, now teaming up with him in this match against Ace Austin and Zicky Dice, a.k.a. Smoking Aces. Had good heat, had decent wrestling. Pillman and Brock Anderson actually defeat Ace Austin and Zicky Dice. Ace Austin having a rough go of it. The last couple weeks, he had the title originally vacated from him. He lost in the opening bout of the show, of the tournament, that he says he should have been a finalist, the instant buy-in for, because he was the last champion. And now, and he lost to Brock Anderson. He obviously has been taking it out. He says he's going to take it out on everybody, take it on NWA, anybody that got in his way. And he doesn't get his way here. We have a defeat. He is not defeated, though, but Zicky Dice is. Manages Ace Austin and Pillman end up fighting outside. Zicky Dice in the ring is able to be felled by Brock Anderson, who submits him in the ring while Pillman and Ace Austin were duking it out ringside. Ace is obviously going to be pissed off about this as his losing streak continues. Austin and Zicky Dice have zero chemistry as partners. Normally, they are not our tag partners. It's usually Breeze and Zicky Dice, but Breeze is currently out with a concussion. Arn Anderson and Brock Anderson, obviously Arn's at the ringside. A little confusing in their side-by-side. We're going to change that really quickly, but we have to get through this match first. Got the crowd buzzing, which is actually not great. I have a match to cool the crowd down a little bit coming up, but I don't want them buzzing so early. But good match. 42, not too bad overall. Ace also had a 45 in this match. Actually, it's a little bit lower than I expected. But that is, fine. That might have just been a chemistry issue, I'm thinking. But it's fine. overall, very solid match, and continues the story here of Ace Austin's losing streak and downward spiral. Ace, pissed off, slinks away, saying they're going to regret this. He pulls Ziggy Dice away with him. Pillman Jr. and Brock Anderson celebrate in the ring. This segment doesn't do very well. A lot of that probably has to do with just the mixed match of characters and skill sets here. Ultimately, I'm trying to build up Brock Anderson a bit and giving him some opportunity in this matches. This is another one of those opportunities I'm going to sacrifice segment rating to build up some guys. And ultimately, it's about building up Ziggy Dice a bit and building up Brock Anderson a bit. Afterwards, we go backstage, and the Colognes are there again, confronting Colt. They're upset with his antics, upset with that match, that he was a cheater. And he's like, and you think you can beat, and Carlito's like, you think you can beat one of my boys here? How about you come after me? And Carlito's obviously a tougher opponent. Colt Cabana accepts, so we're gonna have a match tonight: Colt Cabana versus Carlito, with Eddie and Orlando, the Colognes Dynasty, all watching on ringside. Colt Cabana, masterful in improvising in the scene. Carlito kind of playing off him, gets a great segment rating. Very good. But before that match can happen, we got Tim Storm Jr. and Nick Comoroto. Again, another match we're going to sacrifice segment ratings, because boy, does this match suck. Two crazy matches in quick succession don't really work. Staggering so the crowd can catch their breath. We had this paced poorly. That was, like I was saying, we got a little bit of a problem here. Match dragged in the middle, lacked a noticeable flow. We got a lot of penalties here. But ultimately, Tim Storm Jr. defeats Nick Comoroto by submission. It was a wild brawl. The other one, I think, was a steal the show match or something like that. So we might have burned out the crowd a little early. Hopefully that Colt Cabana comedy match can kind of cool them down a bit. But this match at its best, it was going to be a 28. So we didn't lose that much from it. But again, I want to give Tim Storm a win, build up that story, try to build that popularity for him up so that he can be a solid mid-carder or lower mid-carder for us. Afterwards, Tim Storm obviously manages to slay the giant here. He gets on top of him and gets a submission choke because he won by submission, and he makes Comoroto pass out instead of tapping, kind of preserve a little bit of that toughness. He refuses to let go of the hold. He's looking angry, that fighting spirit coming out. He eventually relinquishes control of Nick Comoroto's neck, allowing him to breathe. The ref lifting his hand up, but Tim Storm still got that fire in his eyes. QT Marshall comes out to stand ringside. The two of them are staring each other down. Fire in Tim Storm Jr.'s eyes, but QT Marshall, instead of being scared, looking kind of amused, smiling a little bit devilishly, a little bit of a grin there. It's kind of what he wanted out of Tim Storm to begin with. Said that he was something that he could bring out of him, and has done so. Obviously, the two of them are going to be facing each other down the road, but QT's not scared. He's just kind of going as planned to some degree. Colt Cabana versus Carlito. Match went on too long for a comedy bout. We got some booking problems in this show. Some pacing issues, some length issues here. I thought 12 minutes would have been fine, but apparently just too long. Carlito off his game. This should have been like a 49. Unfortunately, Colt and Carlito, with the length and those problems, kind of caused a bit of a problem. Unfortunately, it does not look like we cool. Well, we did. We gave the crowd a breather. We cooled them down. That was the goal. Colt Cabana defeats Carlito with a surprise cradle after kind of a comedy match. Kind of makes a show of it. Again, that's sort of the frustration that the Colognes have. They're here for seriousness, and they feel like Colt is making a mockery out of them. And for some reason, they keep on coming after him, which seems like a mistake on their part. But Colt gets a win again and defeats Carlito 36 because of some of our booking issues. This probably should have been like a 49. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is. We can't change it now. Afterwards, the Cologne Dynasty again attack Colt Cabana. They're pissed off that he ended up kind of sneaking away with a win. It's pretty much of a little bit of a tainted win too, pulling the trunks up, so to speak, and getting Carlito in a quick pinfall. And the three of them are attacking until Aaron Stevens comes out of nowhere, runs down the ramp and helps out Colt Cabana. The Colognes slink away and retreat as Stevens helps pick up Colt Cabana and seemingly here to make the save and defend him. Aaron Stevens does a good job in this segment, apparently, acting well. We advance the storyline between everybody. Segment's a 38. Not bad, not great, but it is what it is. Boy, I'm starting to think this show is going to be rated pretty poorly, guys. For our tag matches, we don't really have much strong competition in our tag scene at the moment. So we got the ladder match for the tag belts. The Von Erichs, Midnight Heat, The End, and the Dynamic Duo. It had decent reaction, but the wrestling was apparently terrible. Segment gets a 23. Von Erichs defeat everybody, retrieve the title, win the World Tag Team titles, our Alliance titles. Yeah, Ross had a 26, Marshall had a 30, 21, 22, 20. I mean, everything's pretty bad. Billington boys sucking out there. A rough match, but one I did expect to be poor, not that poor. The problem is just we really don't have much competition in our tag scene. Maybe getting some alliances and pulling some tag champions out that way might be better. For now, we put it on the Von Erichs. They're sort of our traditional NWA champions. And we maybe develop some tag teams or, do something to heat this up, because that ain't going to work. This low 20s. I mean, for now, this is an okay opener, but that's rough. That's a rough one. Afterwards, the Von Erichs are celebrating with their dad. Crowd loves it. Segment ratings, okay. It's not great, again, but we do have the Von Erichs becoming champions. Meanwhile, backstage, we go, because there's a ruckus. Cameramen go to see a crew of medical looking at a downed person. Someone's injured in the alleyway to walk the hallway, and they see Arn Anderson hurt. He was attacked backstage by somebody, we don't know who. No sign of an attacker. He's on the ground writhing in pain. He was attacked from behind and beat up. We do see a playing card, though, wedged like a calling card into the production trunks that are set up, lining up next to the wall. And then obviously medical is attending to Arn Anderson. This is where we get that sympathy and we turn him babyface so that he is a babyface with Brock. Segment gets a 37. It's not great. I was hoping for a little bit more from his selling there. All right. Thank you, Ricky Starks and Jacob Fatu, for giving us a good match, finally. Jeez. Got the crowd hotter. It's an exceptional match. It certainly is. Ricky Starks, Jacob Fatu. I feel bad for Fatu, but he will have his day because he had a good showing and then lost ultimately in the tournament. Ricky Starks coming in here and defeating Jacob Fatu gives him a fast roll up. Fatu is protected. He's not, doesn't look weak in this match. We make sure he's kept strong. But Ricky Starks is able to just outmaneuver him and move ahead. He scores a point in our round robin tournament against Fatu. I feel bad for pretty much anybody not named Ricky Starks facing Fatu in this tournament, because he's going to be pissed off. But Ricky Starks gets a win and gives us a fantastic match. Both of them, actually. Ricky starts at a 58. Fatu had a 61, actually. So Fatu was better. I thought it said 51 at first. So Fatu got an even better score. Great job, both men, for turning this show around a bit. And actually, I'm pretty happy with this. An okay match. We have that 5-way eliminator match. The 4 former champions versus Allison Kay, who kind of won it, who got a chance to go in there. They had a fantastic heat, considered to have great wrestling. I think it did. Allison Kay wins. She defeats Thunder Rosa, Mickie James, Kimberly, Ramona Riot. Kimberly first, Mickie James last. Thunder Rosa, then Ramona Riot. That order actually surprises me because I think I booked it afterwards to have Rosa chasing down Allison Kay. But either way, she gets the win. It actually is a little bit of a tainted win because she ends up, I think, using the ropes for leverage. That doesn't say it here. But she manages to get that win, becomes the new women's champion. And overall, it's pretty great. Rosa has a great score. I think we're probably going to put Rosa immediately into a feud with Allison Kay. I think makes the most sense and has the highest in-ring performance of the bunch here. But everybody else did great, so I'm very happy with that match. Got the crowd buzzing. Might be a problem for our main event, which is even longer, but I believe it's a storyline match, so it's a little bit slower paced. Overall, though, great. Allison Kay celebrates. She cheated a little bit to win, used the ropes for leverage, and celebrates and slinks away. Thunder Rosa upset by the whole thing, giving her a bit of a chase. So we have a bit of a beginnings of a feud between the two of them, and Allison Kay, our new women's champion. And oh boy, the fireworks, the pedestal raising. Cody Rhodes is coming out. He's got the dog. He's got the entourage. He's got Brandy. Everybody's here. We get that elaborate Cody Rhodes entrance that you would expect. 46. It does okay. Lack of anything interesting was a problem because you can only go so long for a entrance, but he does it. They have good chemistry, obviously, there, and he enters to the ring. Eddie Kingston versus Cody Rhodes for NWA World's title. I don't think this was surprising anybody here, but the match is actually really good. It gets a 55. Kevin Von Erich, why are you booking things? I took you off as road agent. Whatever. Cody defeats Eddie. 27-minute match. It's pinfall with a Crossroads following interference from Brandy Rhodes. He wins the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. His dad's title, he holds it in his hands. 55 to end the show. We do have some gimmick changes, and because Brandy and Cody both using some illegal offense, some cheating to win the prestigious 10 pounds of gold here. Afterwards, obviously, we have the aftermath. In the last minutes of the match, it's clear that Eddie Kingston has turned the tide of the bout. Early on, it was all Cody all day, but Eddie persevered, using that King's Road mentality to fight through the pain, and is looking to win this until Cody, in an act of desperation, throws him into the ref. The ref bumps, and all refs being made of glass just is shattered to a million pieces on the ground. Eddie is then unexpectedly clobbered as he's looking at this because Brandy Rhodes has already grabbed the title and smashes him as hard as she can across the forehead. Eddie is down, struggling to get up. He's bleeding all over the place already. Cody is given the belt from Brandy, who slides it in. He's sort of playing back and forth with the crowd, looking at it. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this. But then he just gives an evil grin to the crowd. And as Eddie gets up, he smashes him even harder than Brandy did. Eddie's on the ground, just bleeding all over the place. He picks him up. He lays the belt down, and he gives him a Crossroads onto the belt. Gets into the pin. All of a sudden, like magic, the ref springs to life as though he wasn't knocked out a second earlier. Gives that slow pinfall count, and thus Cody is now the NWA World's Champion. The family Rhodes celebrates to a booing crowd, and they walk up to the ramp in celebration. Dustin comes out, but he is not there to celebrate. He is yelling at Cody, chastising him. Dustin seems to be a big believer in sort of this renewed fighting spirit focus of the NWA. He's kind of bringing that sort of that Kings Road mentality to the NWA. He believes this is about showcasing top talent and fighting spirit and perseverance, and he's upset with Cody. It's very obvious Cody does not care, and he walks past him and ends the show with the crowd booing our new champion, and poor Eddie in the ring just looking upset and hurt and ashamed. Certainly not going to be the end between the two of them. But at the end of the show, yeah, this score is not going to be as good as I wanted it to be. But we knew it was going to be lower anyways. I think we're probably going to be like a 48. Oh, yes, let's turn the gimmick. We want Cody to officially turn heel here. We got Evil Cody. Bomber Jacket Cody is back. 54. Actually, not too bad. Overall, we increased our popularity in somehow 53 regions. I guess because we're on Fight. We're just everywhere. So overall, a really great show. Nobody had any problems. I am trying to think of maybe some potential problems of people we left off the show and talking to them, but I can't think of anybody off the top of my head that might be really upset. I mean, there's some people that were not booked yet, so they might be upset, but we'll give Eddie give him a hug. Allison Kay, praise for a great performance, and yeah, like nobody was upset about anything. Shockingly, some of the matches where I expected people to go over, and I kind of expected people to be a little more upset, but they were not. Tell Fatu, who had, I think, the highest score in performance, that he's awesome. Everybody pleased. All right, a good show, I think, overall. Feedback was awesome, so we outshone our recent efforts. All our fears were fine. We could have had an even stronger show, but overall, I guess we did it pretty okay. Viewing figures, 11,000 views, not great. 0.02, but yeah, not the end of the world. I'm more curious about finances. Yeah, we took a hit there. Pay-per-view revenue is only about $8,000. And that show cost a lot of money. I don't know if a pay-per-view every month is worth it. Which is fine, because we got a whole tournament to book here. We got this whole thing to deal with. So, you know, overall, hardly the biggest deal to have a pay-per-view every other month or something like that. I think that's the direction we're going to go with, but let me know what you guys think. But overall, a pretty damn good show. I'm pretty happy with it. We moved a whole point from that. One whole point, one single one. But I'm pretty happy with what we've done. We'll have to look next episode at where our future stars are in terms of their popularity. So I have a suspicion that some workers really boosted up there. So we'll have to see. Anyways, that's it for me. Thank you guys for joining me, and I'll see you next time.